These are the top 5 easiest places to forecast the weather in the United States, according to me, a degreed and professional meteorologist. And I gotta be honest, this list was way more difficult to come up with because every region has their own forecasting challenges, even the easy zones. Mother Nature is always full of surprises. Coming in at number 5, and frankly, this is a distant 5, would be interior South Texas from San Antonio down to McAllen. That's because most of the year down here is warm and humid. Even during the winter, big cold fronts have difficulty making it down this far, and even if so, it's very muted. Also, the terrain is pretty flat and the sea breeze is not as impactful as other places. Coming in at number 4, we have Hawaii. Hawaii is a tropical climate, which means that weather is pretty stable throughout the year. The main driver, though, are the trade winds, which blow from the north and east. So if you live on the northern and eastern sides of the islands, you tend to get a lot of rain. Somewhere like Hilo, for example, averages over 100 inches per year. But if you are on the other side of the island where you get a downsloping wind, that leads to sinking air, and that means you get much less rain in somewhere like Maui or Honolulu. The main reason this is a little bit lower on the list than you might expect is because being out in the middle of the Pacific, there is much less weather data at our disposal than in the lower 48, which makes it tricky sometimes. Coming in at number 3, we have the Southern California coast, specifically from Santa Barbara down through San Diego. In this region, you can pretty much copy and paste the forecast for about 70% of days throughout the year. You have morning marine layer fog that progressively burns off, and you have a high around 70. In the summer, if you go from one side of LA to the other, from the immediate coast to far inland, you can see temperatures rise by 30, 40 degrees, and that creates a pretty wicked gradient. Aside from that, the main challenges would be Santa Ana wind events, so winds blowing in from the east and resultant wildfire risk, as well as atmospheric rivers that happen throughout the winter and the spring. Coming in at number 2, we have the Florida Keys. First of all, I intentionally did not include the rest of South Florida, like Miami, Tampa, Fort Myers, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, etc., because I actually think that area is fairly challenging. Up here, you have dual sea breezes, one from the Gulf and one from the Atlantic. That creates a convergence zone, and that convergence creates daily thunderstorm activity, sometimes at random. That can actually be very difficult to predict, but down here in the Keys, you don't really have the same issue. You do certainly get thunderstorms in the Keys, but because it's surrounded by water in all directions, you tend to get very stable air. And being that far south, temperatures are pretty stable throughout the year. The main challenge, of course, would be hurricanes. Coming in at number 1, we have the desert Southwest, including parts of Arizona, Nevada, and Southern California. This is the most arid location in the US, which means that we only get a few inches of rain per year. Essentially, there is a semi-permanent area of high pressure over this region, which means that pretty much every day is going to be sunny. In the summertime, that means temperatures surging well into the hundreds, but in the winter, it actually means it's very nice. The one thing that is tricky about this region, but specifically to the east, like toward Phoenix and Tucson, would be the monsoon. These are essentially thunderstorms that form off the high terrain, usually between, say, June and September. Even so, it's much easier to predict storms here than other parts of the country because they occur at the exact same time every day and follow the exact same path. The only thing that's tricky would be exactly how much rain is going to fall in your given area. Did your town make the cut? Let me know down below in the comments.